I've been getting a lot of ads on my videos for masterclass.com, and it looked pretty cool, so I went and checked it out. And there's a masterclass from Malcolm Gladwell, you know, the author of Blink and David and Goliath, excellent books. And I thought, hey, that's pretty great, you know, because he talks about nonfiction, and I love to learn, and thought maybe I could pick up a few tips on how to better, you know, make the stories and what I do in my videos for you guys. And while I was going through the masterclass, which had just started last night, right away, he starts talking about this story about a guy in the 70s who wrote an article about kids that would run away from these homes for delinquent children back in the 70s. And the guy was researching what was going on here, and he discovered that the kids would run away from specific places, and there are other places that they never ran away from. And he finally came to the conclusion that it wasn't the kid's personality or something wrong with the kid that was causing them to run away from the place, that there was something institutionally wrong with the places where the kids were staying, that's where the problem lay. And that naturally triggered me thinking about the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society and the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I know from growing up as a witness that Watchtower always taught us that Jehovah's Witnesses have the pure light of truth, that God's word is pure and clear and easy to understand, and that they have the most wonderful truths, and it's the most loving organization, and everything about God's people is wonderful, 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 wonderful. And yet, there are a lot of children running away from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. And that makes you stop and think, wait a minute, if your organization is so great and so perfect and so beautiful and so wonderful, why are so many people leaving the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses? For every 3 people baptized now, 2 people leave, which is why the growth rate of Jehovah's Witnesses is so low, just barely treading water above the birth rate. And it should be much greater than that based on the preaching work and the children being born into the organization, if it was such a beautiful place that everyone loved. And that made me start asking a few other questions about this, because Watchtower would tell us that there were people whose hearts weren't rightly disposed for everlasting life, and that they couldn't understand the truth because there was something wrong with them. But you know, when you go into an organization that has a very clearly defined objective, and I don't mean a commercial organization, any institution, whether it's commercial or social or whether it's civic, you can pretty quickly get a feel for what the atmosphere is like and what the people are like. I'll give you an example. My kids are in an after-school program here in Winston-Salem, and they love it. They love going there because my kids are homeschooled. They love to go there. They love to play with the other kids. They love to play in the gym. They love to play the games. When we get there, they run into the building every day. Why? Because it's fun. And the people there are great. The counselors are amazing. It is a wonderful program that the kids love. While we were living in Charlotte, the kids were also in an after-school program, and it was like pulling teeth to get them to go to that one, because they didn't like it. It was boring. There wasn't a lot of kids there that they necessarily got along with. The counselors weren't as much fun. There's just the whole thing across the board, especially my son. He would moan every time he had to get in the car to go to after school in Charlotte. But here he runs to the car. Here he runs into the building. They love it. Whenever it's out for the holidays, he asks about it. Why are we going to after school? You know, he misses it. They enjoy it, both my son and my daughter. That's how I know as a parent that this after-school program is really good. In addition to talking to the counselors and seeing what they do and, having enough of a part to know why the kids just love it so much. So Watchtower can make up all the excuses that they want. They can try to blame the kids at after school. They can try to blame the people who leave the organization and say it's something wrong with them. They can try to blame the runaway kids, right? And call them delinquent or whatever they want to do. But the simple fact is, if the organization was such a wonderful, amazing, godly, Christ-like place that everybody loved because it had God's blessing and spirit, people would not be running away from it. They would be staying there. They would be raving about it to everybody and how wonderful it is, and more people would be coming in, and the growth rate of Jehovah's Witnesses would just be so much better than it is right now. And besides, if so many people in the religion just don't get it because it's difficult to understand the pure light of truth, and I'm not sure how those two contradictory things work, well, then what does that say about God if this is actually God's organization? God has created a truth that is hard to understand and that does not appeal or attract the vast majority of humanity, and that most 2/3 of the people born into it want to get out of when they become adults, even though they were immersed in it and raised in it from childhood. If it was really God's organization, what would that say about God? And what would that say about his view of people if it's not the kind of place that most people want to have something to do with? I mean, if a parent plans an activity for their kids and none of the kids have a good time because they don't like what the parent planned for the children, is that the kid's fault or is that the parent's fault? So if people are leaving the organization and Watchtower and Jehovah's Witnesses aren't hardly growing at all, is that the people's fault? Or is that God's fault if it was actually God's organization? Now, of course, I don't believe for 1 minute that it actually is or that it has God's blessing or anything. I really feel that you see exactly what you would see from a failing human institution that people just don't want to have much to do with anymore because of its dangerous policies and its weird doctrines and its very harsh belief systems, things like shunning. People don't want to have anything to do with that, generally speaking, and so people leave as they get older. So either the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses is not the true religion, or God created a religion that is just not appealing to the vast majority of people. And if God created a religion that's really that unappealing to everybody, and he's going to destroy anybody who's not a part of the religion, what does that say about God? See, for me, I very much prefer to see faith and God and belief, whatever your belief system is, as a positive force, as something that makes people feel good and want to do good. Because if people don't feel good about themselves and what they're doing, they're not going to be motivated to do it. They're going to want to run away from it. So if you're in a religion that isn't appealing to you, to your heart, and motivating you to want to do good for others and good for the community, you really should stop and ask yourself, what is it about this group that's just not doing it for me? And why is that? And what does that tell me about the organization? Does that indicate that there's a problem with it? And if there is a problem, what is that problem? Really try to figure it out and narrow it down. And then ask yourself, would God let that problem exist in his only true organization on earth? And if the answer you have to that question is no, well, then maybe you're in the wrong place. If the answer you have to that question is yes, the religion I belong to, my faith tradition, it is really really good and motivational and makes me want to do good things for other people, and it improves my spirit and the way I feel, and it gives me hope. If it is all of those things, well, then maybe you're in the right place. But if it's not, it's time to start asking yourself questions and to really finally come to the conclusion that no, it's not me, it's you. Well, that's what I thought about while I was taking that master class, and I really am enjoying the class, and I hope that it will bring some improvements to my videos, because I want to try to do the best job I possibly can for you guys. And plus, I love to learn. I've always loved to learn, and I keep learning. And the master classes are simple, short videos, so I can break them up over time in the evenings, and I like that. It fits my schedule. But anyway, this isn't an ad for a masterclass. You may have seen an ad on the video. I just wanted to throw that out there. But at any rate, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to click like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and definitely hit the notification icon so you'll be notified when I release new videos. And as always, thanks for watching.